senior Operation Mockingbird asset. But what the pollster is saying is that there are millions and millions of Black and Latino voters who are leaving the Democrat plantation.
If Trump was going to destroy America, he would have done it in his first term. If Kamala Harris was going to help out America, she would have done it in her first term, okay? Stop with all the lie.
Trump 2024. Trump 2024.
That he realized, finally, but better late than never, that the mainstream media is full of crap.
I made a video the other day asking people when was the moment that they came to the conclusion Donald Trump is racist. A lot of people said Central Park 5. We'll talk about that in another video. For me personally, it was the very fine people on both sides thing.
But you also had people that were very fine people on both sides.
I remember seeing that clip and feeling like, wow, maybe he is racist. And I just happened to come across this video on YouTube. It basically said that the clip was edited and that I should go back and watch the entire clip. So I watched the entire thing. It got to that point where he says very fine people on both sides. I'm like, see, that's exactly, I knew he said that. There's no point in me even continuing to watch this. And then it goes on and he gets to the part where he's like.
And I'm not talking about the neo-Nazis or the white nationalists, because they should be condemned totally.
So he said he wasn't talking about the neo-Nazis and white supremacists. Why would they show me part of the story and make me feel like this? Even in the presidential debate against Joe Biden, he brought up the very fine people thing.
And he said, I think there's fine people on both sides. What American president would ever said, Nazis coming out of fields, carrying torches, singing the same anti-Semitic file, carrying swastikas, were fine people?
Kamala Harris just brought it up on the recent debate.
Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. People
are still saying it even though it's been debunked. Snopes just added this in 2024 that was supposedly said in 2017.
Sometimes we forget just how plugged in we are because the average American, no disrespect to this guy, it's great that he finally came around, but the average American is a moron and they have no idea what it is that's going on. And they just believe what the mainstream media is showing them. And so in a desperate attempt to try to keep Kamala's new core base of voter.
Enough of that. I'll try to get Ham on it. He's recovering, and I'm sure he's going to want to come on and talk about the same old, not him. What we're seeing is the same old thing. Very interesting. Let's see if I can pull up one. I gotta put this up. I can do it. No worries, I can do it. Just gotta do it. Should have done it beforehand. I can put this right here. Okay, so I go share screen, and I'll pick this one. And I'll go, all right, let me go up here. I'm going to turn this down. And I'll say mute. I'll enter. And bingo. Did you see this, by the way? Very sad. I was looking at this, and I can't help but point out, I know most of you don't have an argument with my point because we're all of a different generation. But this is just horrible devastation in Carolina. And I just want to give credit. Look at the damaged power lines. the trees down, the great destruction here. And look right here. Men, toxic men. 1, 2, 3, 4. Toxic men cutting down the trees and getting them out of the way. Look at this devastation. Who's going to clear this out? Toxic men. Toxic men. And here, 3 guys, well, 2 anyway, maybe 3, carrying the logs away from the parking lot, cleaning up. Toxic men. Here's another toxic man. Now here's a wonderful man and woman helping distribute food. But who's going to clear this all up? The women in human resources? Look at this. It's really time to get over this womanism and feminism that's gone way off the rails. Way off the rails. I'm all for equality of opportunity, of course. Oh, I didn't see that. Dikembe Mutombo is dead at 58. That's very young. Rapid and rare cancer said to have hit the late queen. You know what boosts cancer rates and speeds them up? I can't say it on this. I can't say it on this thing. Poor guy. Bless him. 58 is so young. Verizon is down. Strike is hitting nationwide. Experts warn store prices will soar. Greedy dock workers strike over 80% pay raise. Unbelievable. What happened? We used to be a country that looked out for workers, blue collar, middle class. I don't know what happened. They're greedy. What about the greed of the top 0.5% that took all the trillions from the federal government? Here's the sad thing right here I wanted to point out to you. You guys probably don't know this. This is Janis Joplin's song, but it was written by Chris Christopherson. Chris Christopherson passed away at age 88. He met Janis Joplin, and he wrote Me and Bobby McGee, which she sang for him, and then she died, and that kicked off his career. I had met Bobby Newworth here. Bobby had taught that song to Janis. And that's why there were a couple lines different from the real one. We got to staying up all night. Anyway, we went out there. I never did get anywhere but to Janis's. Spent about a month living up in her house. He was a great songwriter for a while. Last time I saw Janis was outside the old motel everyone used to stay at. I'm not over it yet. Unfortunately, the first time I heard Janis's recording of Bobby McGee was when I had just gone down because she had died. I didn't even know she had cut it. He played it for me. I had to leave the room. anyway, he was a great singer, great songs. He landed in Johnny Cash's. He took a job as a janitor in Tennessee, and he had written these songs, and he would hang around the studio. And then he landed on Johnny Cash's front lawn with a helicopter. He was also flew helicopters from stateside, so to speak, out to the oil platforms. And that's how he got started, was bringing Johnny Cash. I woke up Sunday morning with no way to hold my head. It didn't hurt. The beer I had for breakfast wasn't bad, so I hadn't had another one for dessert. I don't know if they list all the songs he wrote. You'd be surprised how many of the songs you sing he wrote. Sunday morning coming down, help me make it through the night. I don't care who's right or wrong. Let the devil take tomorrow, for tonight I need a friend. Yesterday is dead and gone, and tomorrow's out of sight. I'm sad to be alone. Help me make it through the night. And he did For the Good Times, which Ray Price made a huge hit. I can't get a starting point in my head on that one. But I saw Ray Price live do that, and that was amazing. For the good time, don't look so sad. I know it's over. We'll be glad. No need to watch the bridges that we're burning. Lay your head on my pillow. Hold your warm and tender body close to mine. Hear the whisper of the raindrops as they fall against the window, and make believe you still love me one more time. For the good time. Oh, and he did Why Me? Why me, Lord? What did I ever do to deserve even one of the pleasures I've known? Why me, Lord? Why'd you show me a way? Now, show me a way. I got lost in the words. And loving her was easier than anything I'll ever do again. Why me, Lord? Wow, it's tough. 88 years old. 88 years old. All right, so let's get back to what I was going to show you. On my pillow, hold you warm and tender body close to mine. Hear the whisper of the raindrops as they fall against the window, and make believe you still love me. One more time, I'll get along. You'll find another. All right, so for Barbara, if she's there, I know you can't see the name of the stock, but it's up here. Let me just see if that's clear. This is a very small screen, but I think you can see that, Barbara, right here is the name of the, well, I don't want to cross it out. That's the name of the stock. It closed yesterday at 256. It opened today at 250. The high today is 281. But what I want to show you on a 1.5-year chart, that the shorts got this down. They destroyed it from here. And we can leave aside for now whether they were counterfeit shorts, systems in place, algorithms, all legitimate, good clients, whatever. They took the stock down from about 280 and it hit lows down here well below $1. Well, the stock's been, that was a year ago. The stock's been rallying, struggling. The CEO's been working on bringing in deals. There's a big fight against the counterfeiting. And they've made some announcements along the way. There were some changes of plans, but you'll see that there's a pretty significant resistance point in here for about a year, since the beginning of this year, sort of in the 229 range. Every time it got up once, twice, thrice, broke through that time, 4 times, 5 times. I don't know if you count this in here, but call it 6, 7, 8 times. It tried to get through 229, and the criminals wouldn't let it go. Or they were great guys. Maybe they're just out there, they're good clients, it's just algorithmic trading, and there's systems in place, and these men, mostly white men, are just shorting these stocks to help you. They're doing it out of the kindness of their heart. Well, anyway, you'll notice, let me just change the color. Of course, it changes the one I just did. But you'll notice that right in here, since May of this year, the stock had this huge volume. See this volume here? It was over 1 million shares. The stock rallied almost to 260. It broke through 250 basically. And then they got it back down. They're all great guys. Systems are in place. It's just algorithms. You know, they're good clients. They cover later. You can't trust the FINRA data. Whatever. So then the stock collapsed, And in June, it made another valiant attempt, 1, 2, 3, 4 times over 229, but it didn't hit 250. And then they came in and sold it back down. And then in I don't know, end of July, it punctured 229, but it didn't make 250. And so then in August, once, twice, they tried to get it through 250. And the good guys, you know, the buyers, the people seeking a real marketplace, real pricing in the market, and real price discovery. But it didn't hold. And so the selling came back in, and I'm sure it was good guys, good clients, just algorithmic trading. The systems are in place. You see the naked shorting, the reg show failures on FINRA data, but you don't see when it covers. So you can't just take those numbers and add them up. These are good. These were good guys, and they're shorting because obviously they're just looking out for you. Anyway, so back in sort of May, June, it got to 250. August, it got to 250. Call that one time, call it twice, doesn't matter. And then the shorts came in again. And then what the shorts really found all along this year, whether they're good clients or criminals, they found that they couldn't really short it below the 50-day moving average for very long. They tried here in August. They did puncture the 50-day and go all the way down to the 200-day moving average at the beginning of last month, or this month. Today's the last month of September. But it held. They tried, it didn't work, and it snapped right back up. But look where it came back up to. It hit resistance at 225, 229, and they were able to pull it back. They tried again. The good, it's a battle of good and evil. The good brought it back up to 229. I think they're evil, but maybe they're just good guys shorting it to help you save your money. Anyway, they tried it back down, but look, all along, the 20-day and 50-day moving averages are going up. So what happened just recently in September? They tried to sell it off, and it hit the 20-day moving average. And yesterday, or Friday, sorry, it bounced off that 20-day moving average, and it punctured 250. Remember, it got through sort of here 250 in, I don't know, I'll call it June. And then it got through it in August. So call it 1, 2, 3 attempts. And then on Friday, that was your 4th attempt, if you count it that way. I wouldn't blame you if you counted it once, twice, 3 times, doesn't matter. But on Friday, it closed at 256, and this morning it opened at 250. They tried to busticate it, but look where it is now. It's broken through. Let me see where it's trading right now. 275. So Barbara, let me give you another chart. Let me give you another chart, a shorter chart. Let's just do 6 months. No, I can't. Okay, so do 0 there. Okay, that's 6 months. Let me annotate it. So Barbara, right here is your breakout, roughly. And you can clearly see it's broken out. All these are in good positive territory. And Barbara, this is the name of the stock right up here. Do you see where I'm drawing? I don't know if you can see it. I wish I could make it bigger for you. All right, now let me show you a 1-year chart because it might give some targets. Let me show you a 2-year chart. Yeah, let's go with the 2-year chart. And let's change the color to red. Okay, so you can see that I'm calling your attention to this sort of pennant. If it's a flag or a pennant, I don't know. Sort of. It hasn't really been allowed to close out. You could also argue this was just a sideways channel. Every time it hit down in here, it rallied. Every time it hit up there. Anyway, it's a breakout. That's all I want to point out to you is it's a breakout. Where does it go? Well, here is an obvious point. Here is an obvious point. I don't think any of those really matter. Here might be, you might be getting into something here at 7, but I don't think it really matters. Why do I say this is my technical analysis, which is worthless? The reason I say it doesn't matter is you've had a year of selling off and you had this huge volume day here, which might matter. That one actually might matter, which is why I drew this line. But otherwise, the weak hands have sold. They've gotten tired. They've sold. They've taken their tax losses. They're out of it. So I believe that over this last year, weak hands shifted to strong hands. And this entire year is strong hands accumulating this stock. So I don't see any of these as major resistance. You wore down my resistance to be. All right, so let me change the color again. This, I think, is your, there is a gap that needs to be filled right in here in this range. It starts earlier, so it's between $24 and $26. For a trade, that's where I would look for a trade. I think in here, sort of in here, maybe a little lower, maybe in this range. Let's just go to the top of it. Let's be optimistic. I think somewhere between $10 and $12, you could see resistance right here. That's significant, little blurb of resistance. And it tried to break through here, 1, 2. So anyway, if you want to trade it rather than hold it for higher numbers, maybe in this 10 to 12 range, you could sell some, take your original money off the table. You could do that at $7, but up here is where I see the main resistance. So sell some at $10 or $12. Maybe they sell it back down. Maybe the criminals are able to get it back down to 7. Heck, maybe they can get it all the way down to 4, somewhere in here, and you can buy it back. But I don't think you're going to see 280 again. I don't think you're going to see 3 again. I'm not sure you're going to see below 4 again. All right, and then let's look at a longer chart just for the hay of it. Let's look at a 5-year chart and see if we can pick anything out. I'd say, like I did already, sort of here might be something, but I don't think it'll be big or very long. I think this thing there is a stalling point or a resistance point. So I don't think it's going to hold it very long, but I think you get movement. This will be back and forth, up and down, up and down. But when it gets up to this line, or, give or take, somewhere between 10 and maybe 15, you hit resistance and it'll pull back. So if the nimble of you could maybe sell some there and buy it back, I don't know. But where's the, right in here, the mid-20s to the high 20s is a resistance area. How strong, I don't know. But if you're there, you should probably be taking some profits. This big clutter up here is the high 40s. I would say that's another area. If it gets up to there, you better have sold in that range. But if you really want to dream, really dream, and I'm not recommending this, but if you really want to dream, that's the gap they need to fill. But it was a different story then, so I don't know if they're going to get that high. Let me just give you a final number, and I'll pick up hand. I'd say 70 or 80 is, if you want to be pushing this story, 70 to 80 would be where you really could press it in a short squeeze. But like I say, it could go higher. All right, so Barbara, I'm going to hang up on that. Let's pick up Pam. Let's see what he has to say.
Hello.
Hey, are you bicycling?
I am. Everything all right?
Yeah. Do you want to bicycle and talk to people at the same time?
Yes, I do.
All right. Well, you're live.
All right, everybody. I'm on my bicycle doing my knee replacement exercises, which basically has made this a cakewalk. The only time it does hurt for anybody who's ever done it is at night when you try to sleep. Otherwise, I'm walking. I started with a walker, got rid of that, got a cane, got rid of that. I walk without anything now. So, and it's fine throughout the day. I don't sprint, but I'm walking fine. Anyway, let's talk about some of the things that are going on here. Again, I don't have any quotes in front of me, so just bear with me. I posted just a few minutes ago before I got on the bike, DJT and GameStop. What have I said? Buy the dips. You always get a trade out of it. Just look at the lows. I'm not going to say you bought the lows, but go 30 cents higher than the low, and you still had an opportunity to make 20, 30, 40, even 50, 60 cents, maybe even more. So if you bought 1,000 shares, you make yourself 200, 300, 400, whatever you wanted to make. Sometimes you get that trade twice a day. Those stocks have the trend is up, so you can actually buy the dips and sell them each time. I can't do it for you, but this is how you learn how to trade. I'm going to tell you that, you just got to learn to be quick on it, pay attention to it. I don't want to do it anymore, but I will start doing it after the 27 days are up, but I'll start getting back into that game. But again, you can see it. You could have bought GameStop below, I'll say 22. I think it's 21.87. So let's say you paid 22 and a quarter for it. It went to 23. You can make these quick day trades. Well, even if you traded for a dime, $100, 100 a day, 500 a week, 2,000 a month, that can pay your car lease off, your utilities, whatever it may be. Think like that. And that's how you make money trading in the equity market. All right, don't be afraid to do it. If you want to do it, that's how you have to do it. Those are just two stocks that I'm following because, we all know the trend is that these shorts are going to cover. The GameStop people just love to keep buying it, so take advantage of Hold on a second, I just want to tell this guy I'm on a call. Hold on. Let me say that. Anyway, the doctors tell me to repeat. This system I'm on, they monitor when you get on here. There's someone on the other side monitoring what you're doing, so they keep recommending that I move up. So they keep talking to me. But so again, that was with GameStop, GameStop and DJT. All right. So again, just think about it. You make at least 30 cents a day is $1.50 a week. So if you did buy 1,000 shares at 32, you can lower your cost by $1 at least a week. Get it down to 29, 28. Just keep getting lower and lower. Lower your cost in those things. These are not position trades. These are day trading ideas. That's a day trading idea. Learn how to do it because that's what people do for a living. We do that. I'm not a short seller, so when stocks spike up, I don't take advantage of the drops. I don't do that. Also, all it takes is one short squeeze and you get wiped out. So I do not do that. All right. Even Warren Buffett said that it's a tough way to make a living on the short side. Don't get me wrong. If I did do it, it's because it's so blatantly obvious, and I would only do it with puts. Because puts, I can only lose what I put into it. I would never short the stocks. I would buy puts. All right, and it's very dangerous. And again, I can buy puts. The stock can drop $1, and the puts go up 25 cents. Because there's no conviction to the downside, so you got to be careful. So again, I'm not going to teach you how to short sell. You can don't follow the criminals, but go read a book on it and try to figure it out yourself. That's not my thing, so I can't advise you on that, or even give you an idea on it. On trigger motion, William, where is it right now?
It was up. It is 218 up a penny. High of 224, 218 by 221, 40 by 4, 45,620. No, sorry, 45,000. Yeah, 620 shares.
All right, so again, most of the volume is fake, is cross-washed, it's nonsense. If they have to cover 1,520,000, October 9th is when the next update comes. And so, give and take away the business days with the trading days, it's not far. I don't know what day October 9th is next week, but that's when we'll get the updated. And keep an eye on, we're just watching the trades. They're not covering them. All right, so the only way these guys are covering is they're moving it from the real short to the naked short position, which means the naked short position is going to go up because if they were covering the marketplace, we would all see it. All right. The people that know David Tepper, obviously connected through Carnegie Mellon, they're reaching out, trying to set that meeting up. My proposal to the people I know was to get to him and say, hey, buy 4.9% stake in the, hold on a second. All right, hold on a second. Give me 1 second, I just gotta hit a button. Congratulations. Recommended that he buy a 4.9% stake in the marketplace and then go to the company and do raise money through the company in the private placement. So if he does buy 4.9% of the stock, well, he doesn't have to report it. He doesn't report it, and basically he can quietly own it without reporting it. And then when he buys something from the company, a big block, and the company will get some money, and that would be considered a real good institutional holder. He'll be at almost 10%. And that's when the world will find out about them that he's here. That's the way I've seen it done before. I know corporate raiders that used to do this, going back from after Edelman to, I forgot the guy from Minnesota, what his name was, but even Ivan Bumke, all these guys that were corporate raiders, this is how they accumulate a position, then they try to get a big block at the end, and that's when they go over and they file and tell the world that they bought it. That is the opposite. What's going on in GameStop? There's been huge stock sales and no one's ever said they bought a share. And I doubt that there's someone trying to hide that they bought it, waiting to say that they got multiple accounts and putting it in it. I doubt that. So that's how it's usually done on Wall Street. So I can't guarantee you we're going to get that done, but I will guarantee that we are going to get an at-bat at that. All right? One of our big holders is from Carnegie Mellon. That's the school out in Pittsburgh. He went to school in Pittsburgh. He graduated Carnegie Mellon, so it's that same network, and they know each other. What else can you say? He loves China. Trigger Motion only does business in China. I posted it up there for you to see. It's pretty easy. If you go to the company's website, you can actually see their timeline of deals. And I found in the timeline the deal with Alibaba. So they're doing it's the Tmall, which is Alibaba's business. So Trigger Motion is doing business with Alibaba. I think they do business with Tencent. I can't remember when that press release, where they are, and it's the same type of business as Alibaba. They do business with China Mobile, China Unicom, the Chinese government. I guess that's a small company. Munich Re information is in there. The Pacific Life Re, all that timeline is in there. Just read it. It takes time to grow these businesses. And I'm tired of people saying to me, "Why is it taking so long?" Again, I'm not in China. I'm not building the businesses, but I know if I wanted to open a bagel store, I have to get ovens, I got to get a lease, I got to get employees, I have to get clientele. It takes time. So these are big deals that are happening. And when they do turn and kick on, what do you think is going to happen? Do you have that same opinion as me? You talked about Amazon. It took 10 years, right?
Well, I think I've said it over and over again, but once Finger turns positive, but the projections, you have a better story and more comfort. Once earnings, revenue, cash flow, whatever you want to call it, is growing and forecastable, once it's predictable and it's occurring every quarter, the shorts are going to run away like, what are those things that come out of graveyards and then when they see a cross, they run away? I don't know, the ghouls, they'll run away like cockroaches when you turn on the kitchen light.
Well, that's exactly, I feel the same way. I think these guys never thought that they thought the company would play ball like everybody else, sell stock, give warrants, dilute, and reverse, and they can get the position crushed in this thing. And the company has not done that. The company's done the opposite, has stayed away from it, and is now stronger. And I think the press releases that we've seen recently, which is the top of the electric cars, if China's going to explode like everyone's predicting, people are going to start charging their cars and driving more or buy more EVs and charge it. These guys get a percentage of that from their app. And then you have the emergency vehicles. And as you can see, in the U.S., we had a couple of big emergencies down in the southeast, between down in Tennessee and North Carolina and the state of Florida, that all the emergency vehicles have to communicate with each other, and China's being proactive on that. And the Trigger Motion has that contract. So just go read it. Look how many trucks there are, and how many, police, fire, ambulances, even the utility trucks, or the gas trucks, if the pipes are breaking in the ground, they need the gas companies out there. They all have to work together. They all have to know what they're doing. So how big is this thing? I think it's huge. It's right there. The numbers, once they start installing these things, we'll start getting the revenue and how much they make on each one. And I think that'll be predictable once they see that. How much do they make on each install? Is it 20,000? Is it 50? Is it 60? I don't know what the number is going to be. I'm sure they're not doing it for free. And the Chinese government is the person paying the bill. What more can you ask? But someone wants to hold it down because the Chinese government, everything's going on in China, yet they want to keep trying to hold this one down. It's so stupid. The trade on the real short. I got the naked short. They're just criminals. But the real short is important because they know exactly what we know, and they know they're trapped, and they're trying to cover, and they can't. So it's either the naked short covers for them, and we start seeing more wash trades to increase the volume, which I don't see yet. So we just have to watch that. 45,000 shares. If they crossed every share today, okay, I told you the buy in pre-market was 3,500 shares. So, they were crossing that, out of the blue. They were doing this morning 1,000, whatever they're doing, small. So you just keep following them. It's very easy to see. You're watching the fraud in slow motion, and you're watching the real short just die on the vine because he can't get out. Trust me, that guy wants to get out and run away from this thing. And I keep talking about their cost. We've been following the real short for a long time. And you know what? This thing started out like a 295, but it's been over a year and a half of carrying these short positions. And they can't get out. We've been watching it. We watch the price action. I monitor every trade. Where are they going? So again, you're at $2.20. Where are they going? And you can see that they can't buy it. They come in just to buy 100,000 shares of stock. If the naked short's not selling it, the stock would be $3-4 on 100,000 shares. 1.5 million trying to cover it, the stock would be north of 10. And we got 27 days to go. You know the date and you know the event. The election and Pat Byrne coming in to fix stock settlement. MMTLP is breaking the doors down. They had a great story in the what's that paper called? What did we get? I forgot.
Wall Street Journal?
No, it's a little bit.
It was the Gateway Pundit.
Oh, yeah, right, the Gateway Pundit. So that's a Washington D.C. paper, am I correct? I don't even know what that
No, it's a website.
But it's basically something around all around the D.C., right? So people who live in D.C. who do things in the government.
It's very conservative. Only rednecks and deplorables read it, but it'll get out there.
So
It's run by, I think, a guy named John Holt or Jeff Holt.
Whatever, but it talks about counterfeit shares.
Yeah. It's got a very wide following. Financial types read it. It'll get out.
So counterfeit shares, where does the word counterfeit get out there? And it's a good thing. The word counterfeit is the most awful word in any type of activity. Anybody who's doing anything counterfeiting is basically being something that is criminal. Whether it's a counterfeit T-shirt, Super Bowl ticket, airline ticket, you name it, it's not a good thing. All right? Anybody does any God forbid you counterfeit a $20 bill, it could be away for years. If you walk around with $10, $20 bills, you're going to jail for years. So again, these things all come to a head. They can't keep it. I posted to that website. I sent them since 1988, the cover of Forbes. I sent it to them. That's how long counterfeit's been going on. MMTLP did a story. MMT is not the only one. It happens in Dole Foods. Dole Food has many shares. So people will get to see this stuff, and it's just going to spread. And again, Donald Trump, they're not stupid. They want some of that GameStop money, and the GameStop money is free. This is all free money. Same thing happened to GameStop. GameStop had no business, and they raised $4 or $5 billion from what? From a short squeeze. Think about that. The ultimate in business is doing nothing and raising money from a short squeeze. All right, so again, that's what this is about. The company's fundamentals are ahead of the plan right now, so I feel confident in what I own. Don't get me wrong, anything can go wrong. Somebody can die, China, whatever. I doubt that China's going to fight with the U.S. if David Tepper's out here throwing his hat in the ring, going all in on China. So I think we'll be okay there. Any other questions, Lynn?
Well, I don't.
Give me 1 second. I just want to get some quotes.
I'll answer your question when
Yeah.
it's more convenient for you.
No, sorry. Yeah, I'm ready.
It's all right. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Someone is asking about Holo, which makes me remember T-Lo. Did you watch T-Lo last night?
No, I did not. I was actually, one of the shareholders sent it to me, said it was kind of short, but I have someone sending me the video, and I get a chance, I'll watch it. I'm sure it's very devastating that the company wants to extend your pet's life and your life, and someone wants to sit there and sell more shares to it.
So
You realize, let me just stop there.
yeah, go ahead.
So the company comes out, and you can actually see a video from the company telling you that the dogs are turning around, they're healthy, they're getting stronger. These are older dogs. Imagine doing it to someone who's 75 who's not doing well, and you can turn around and they get another 10 years of life out of them. That's the vision as far as I see. I don't own it, but that's what I see. Who in their right mind wants to try to hold this thing down? This company stock should be 50. Companies should be giving them money, trying to expand whatever their formula is, trying to help them out to get it going, right?
Yeah.
But instead, they're trying to hold it down and destroy it. And you can say to me, my God, are you sure who would want to do that? Doesn't make any sense. Well, going back to 2013, there was a company that was a public company, and the New York Times wrote a fake story about them, trying to drive them out of business.
No.
That company was a small company called Tesla. They drove the stock down from 29, I think it went to 23. I think that was the low, or 21. I can't remember the date, the numbers. But the CEO, Elon Musk, came out and defended it. They were saying their cars were going on fires with the batteries. You can't even drive them. They're blowing up. And Elon showed him all the data from it. He stood up and fought back and basically saved his company. Now that company has come out of him. He owns Twitter. We've got SpaceX. He's actually saving the astronauts that were stranded in space by Boeing. I mean, just think of all the good things that came out of that from that time, from that day. And Wall Street was trying to put him out of business. And the New York Times was helping. That's a true story. I posted it this morning on Twitter. So that's what they do. They short, distort. They decide who lives, who dies. And if you're not a powerful company, how do you fight back? That's the question. But most companies don't have the balls to fight back. Just go look at companies like CELU. The guy was a neurosurgeon in a trauma center working on infectious disease, and they killed this company already. Wipe it out, you gotta reverse it. The whole thing is nonsense. All right? They went after him. Think about that for a second. Forget all the other crazy stuff. MULN, GNS, COS, whatever these other companies are, whatever they do. They all went down that same path, raised money, reversed the stock, and you know what? They all think they're in a better place. But it's not true. Every shareholder that believed in them got wiped out. So, I mean, that's Wall Street, and that's what we're trying to stop. And on a different note, brings me to a different area. Someone called me today and said that there's a fund that still wants to come out and give money for finger motion. Would I help them out? I told them, absolutely not. I wanted to tell you that off the air, William, but it's on the air. So, again,
So it's a bad fund or a good fund?
They don't give you the name.
FRAMPW.
Actually, there's somebody who's got caught in here
Yeah.
and wants to get out. Right?
So it's a short asking for a quick handoff.
The short sends someone a message to me thinking that I will deliver it to the company.
It's a bully saying no mas to the victim. No
I
mas.
basically said, I didn't say no, I wouldn't do it or anything like that. I said, nah, I don't think the company needs to has to take any money now. We got 27 days. Let's let it play out first.
And you know what? The company has a CEO who would never do it.
Well,
Never do it.
I guess the CEO is not taking their calls, so they tried a different way. You understand?
Oh, I got you.
They probably went that way, and they wanted me to come out and try to reach out to the CEO. Oh my God, these guys are so wonderful. How could you not want to take their money?
Yeah.
And I basically sent the message back if they are listening, saying, as far as I'm concerned, I think the company they're standing tall. They got 27 days to go. Donald Trump gets him, we get Pat Byrne. We're going to set up a conference call with Pat Byrne. They can sit here and say all the bullshit they want. I know Pat Byrne, that's a fact. He's out of the country right now. As soon as he lands back in, we will set up the call, wherever he is, and we'll set that call up. We've been working on it for days now. All right, so as soon as we get the timing down, I promise you we would get it around the 25-day trading day. So we've been working hard for the last 3 days trying to get it set up. But I can't control where he is and what he's doing. But again, for those who think that we're fooling around, we're going for the gusto here. And we're gonna have the next president of the United States, and we got the most educated person on naked short selling on our side. And he's not gonna take it lightly. I will address the life in imprisonment. I will address the brokers that take the orders. I will address the current brokers that lend it and carry these positions. And I will address that they should all be thrown life in prison for life. The guy from Morgan Stanley, who's got his video always up there up on Twitter, people keep reposting it. I sent it to the DOJ, the FBI. The guy's telling you he did it at Morgan Stanley. Get the names of the stocks he did it.
Isn't he Sharon Tell?
He works for Sharon Tell now.
Yeah.
I keep saying this to every reporter and FBI, just go to him. Who were his clients? Hey, can you make a short this for me? Sure. Who are you? You know, X, Y, and Z. Give those names up. Because he knows the trades, that guy. As a broker, he memorizes who did what. I do. He knows what they are. And they can always get his records from the past when he worked at Morgan Stanley and see what stocks he was shorting it. Now you know his clients. You know what they make it shorted. And how much did they damage? How much money did they make from those trades? And throw those guys in jail. So, again, you all know it exists. That guy's telling you he's on the good side now. I don't understand why he's never said the names of the companies or the clients he had. So if anybody ever wants to call him up and ask him, he works for Share and Tell, give him a shout. He's right there. You know, so I know Jeff Easton's calling him up. I have no idea.
Jeff Easton.
Wouldn't that be funny?
Jeff Easton. The genius. Jeff Easton
So
is the
anyway,
genius.
I think we have a smaller short in trouble, trying to call around, trying to get someone to sell them some stock. As you can see, nothing's happening. There's no trades going on, nothing going on. There's no selling. Everybody knows. And for those on the call again, the shareholders of Finger Motion are 100%. I know everybody freak out. Let's say 98% educated on every gory detail about what's going on here. Whether you believe it or not, you've heard the stories and you know what's going on here. When I published about GameStop in 2020, whatever it was, 2021, I can't remember the date, I had to pitch people. They had no idea what I was even talking about. And there's no way Roaring Kitty and anybody in his network knew what was going on. All right, they just came barrel and in at all different levels, and that's what made it go. And I believe that was real shorts. Real long squeeze into shorts. It wasn't retail. And no one was educated back then. Now we're super educated. We know everything about it. We know all roads are going to lead back to where Lynn Partners, all right, their offshore parties, will give them up. Because Lynn Partners is not doing this whole charade not to make money. They're not taking the hit with all the risk and all the mud thrown at them if they don't have ties to the money. Or stolen money.
They're getting kickbacks.
Well, they're part of the crime. They're getting it. The money leads back to them. There's not even a question. So, again, you make your bets accordingly. I gave you all the details. You make your decision. I 100% believe this is a life-changing event, and I don't believe you're ever going to find this again. I think that this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Why do I think that? Because you don't get naked shorts trapping themselves like they are here. You don't get to see a president come out and Donald Trump come out and DJT. You don't get to see Pat Byrne coming out saying he's going to fix stock settlement once Trump gets in. It's all right here. We're not making that up. It's all fact. And I've been doing this for 24 years, and I've never seen anything like that in my life. I told you, people go to jail for inside information. Nobody has Martha Stewart, whatever, no. For 5,000 shares of stock, she went to jail, right?
Mm-hmm.
You get free inside information. Donald Trump's going to fire Gary Gensler day one. Pat Burr's going to come here and fix stock settlement. So they're telling you. There's your inside information. You don't need to know anything else. Any questions to any?
Yeah, I asked you about TLO, but you forgot about HOLO, HOLO, and TOP. Both are up. HOLO and TOP are both up.
Yeah, I wish I could. I can't follow them all. Good luck. I don't know.
Well, I guess they're Chinese stocks, so.
Yeah, I'm trying too. That's I didn't think about it. You're right. In Chinese names, Holo I think went to 100. I can't remember that. Top was like 250 something.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly where they were, but yeah. Listen, again, I can't make bets on things that I'm not studying. That's how I feel. If you think you got an edge and you studied and understand it, good luck.
So this guy, Aaron Salentine, just wants to get this point across. And this is why this is different. History of shorted stock, reverse split, issue more shares, dilution, repeat, finally death. Yeah, look up MULN, look up VNUE, look up. Yeah, look up any stock that Jeff Easton funds. If you're a CEO out there, it's on you if you go to Jeff Easton to raise money. But it's not happening here, Aaron, in finger motion. It's not going to happen. They already got stung by Jeff Easton. That's why we're having this period of time. Well, that maybe the lockdown in China. But it's not happening here, Aaron, and you're going to see a different result. So, anyway.
And just remember that a lot of stocks that they've been ripped off and robbed, they changed their names. For example, RWLK, which has gotten slaughtered by Jeff Easton and his buddies, they changed their name, and now it's called Life Ward Ltd. And the symbol is LFWD. They don't change their names. They changed their names for a reason. They're trying to get rid of the past. Jeff Easton's stink on it is trying to get rid of it. This makes a robotic device that helps people walk who had strokes or whatever. It's just like EKSO. I remember watching that stock get shorted, reversed, and people weren't getting access to the machine. So Jeff Easton, they get these companies to bow down to them, these poor companies, and that's what happens. Now they're changing their name. Changing their name from what? From Reward, which they help people walk, to Life Board, whatever the hell that means. They're trying to get rid of the past. They're trying to get rid of the old reverses and all the damage that was done to the investors through Jeff Easton.
So that's
and the other toxic lenders that were around it.
Oh God. Just Jeff Easton. It's like that song. Ooh, that smell. Do you smell that smell? The smell of guts.
He is low-hanging fruit.
He is a fruit. Oh, I shouldn't say that.
Listen,
I take it back.
He's low-hanging. He's so arrogant. He did a deal with K&W. That stock got K&W's bought Jeff Easton. Then they brought Benchmark on top of it, and this company's raised a ton of money. Again, they're in trials, whatever the hell they're doing on diabetes, whatever the hell they're doing, but they're trying to compete against the big boys, and using band-aids to get to there is very difficult, and especially when they're criminals that we've dealt the companies dealt with. It's very obvious. We can just read the notes on what the money that they would lend in the terms. I posted it. I told every shareholder stock was 90. It's been holding here around the 25 to 30 range. They keep trying to, hold it up. When there's no sell orders, I can see Jeff Easton's buddies trying to, pop it up pre-market. They were marking it up, William. Like, what's the rush pre-market to buy this one? And in pre-market, finger motion was being offered lower while this was being moved higher. They have a death spiral, the worst type of note on top of them. And yet they're trying to push it up. Finger motion has nothing here. China's booming, and yet they were trying to offer it lower. So you can see their reasoning is they have to get finger motion down, and they need that to get people to come in and buy it. That's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
Very obvious. And the gentleman that said the reverse repeat rent, it's just what happens.
Yeah, that is. They do it over and over again, and the CEOs have to fight against it and not get
Wall Street.
not get taken in.
Wall Street uses this as their Bible. All the lenders, they call you up and they say, William, your stock is underperforming. We got to reverse the stock. And you're going to sit there, well, it doesn't hurt your position. I know, but we believe in you and we want it. You know, they're short.
And we're here to fund you.
We'll give you more money if you do it. So reverse it. What should we do? Oh, do.
And the lawyers tell them to do it because you're going to get sued by shareholders if you don't do it.
Right.
It's just so disgusting.
So they reverse the stock. The shorts lose, whether it's 30 to 1, 60 to 1, whatever the number is, their position of the short just goes to zero, wiped out. That percentage, whatever it is wiped out. They push the stock back up to, like, let's say it's 70 cents, 10 to 1, they go back to $7. There's less shares. And what do? They start selling stock at $7. Start over again. So 30% of their position was washed away, meaning that they closed it out, they're free. And they opened up at 7 and say, wait, now we can sell stock at 7. And in a couple of months, the stock will be 3 again. And it's the same thing. And they just keep doing it to companies. And I don't know how the SEC allows it, but that. And now on top of that, if anybody wants to Google it, I haven't had time to put it back up. Merrill Lynch happened to join the fray and telling anyone that owns a stock that doesn't have a $300 million market cap, or I forget the dollar amount, no one in Merrill Lynch Clearing, anyone in Merrill Lynch's line, you know, it could be Merrill Lynch, it could be Merrill Lynch, anyone that does clearing for Merrill Lynch is not allowed to own it. So let's say Finger Motion. It's not a $300 million market cap company. If you paid $5 for it, Merrill Lynch would call you up and say, hey, William, you bought 2005. You're not allowed to hold this at Merrill Lynch anymore. And you say, why? It's a good company. It's Merrill Lynch. This is our rule. It's the Merrill Lynch rule. So they turn the stocks into sell only to stocks. Not because the stock is doing anything wrong. The shorts push it down, and they got firms like Merrill Lynch. Anyone who buys the stock there has to turn around and sell it because Merrill Lynch doesn't allow people to hold those positions. I can show you that story. It's a fact. So Merrill Lynch now, the shorts push the stock down. They drown. They hold you underwater, and Merrill Lynch comes and drowns you. That's what they do.
Shooting fish in a barrel.
And that's what they do. They work together. And it's the Merrill Lynch. If you just look at it, Google Merrill Lynch.
Rule.
I forget penny stock rules of penny stock story. I forget what the term in the news was, but it was on CNBC. And it tells you point blank, you got to meet this amount requirement. So here's Merrill Lynch. You know how many people clear stocks? It could be Joe Blow Securities in Kansas, and they have 20 brokers, and they bought 1 million shares of Finger Motion. Their clients are being told they have to sell it, or you got to transfer your account. Most people just say, all right, sell my 2,000 shares. I'm not going to move my account. I've been here for a long time. So they dump the stock and take their loss. And then you get the NASDAQ come out right on top of that saying, hey, if you don't maintain a dollar requirement, we have to unfortunately kick you off the NASDAQ. So what do you think the shorts do? Drag them below $1. What does the company do? They get a letter from the NASDAQ. What does the NASDAQ say? If you don't get it back above $1, we're going to delist you. If you do get delisted, guess what? You get a letter from the NASDAQ, and then you have to make a public statement as a public company and tell all your shareholders, hey, our stock price has dropped below $1 and we're getting delisted because now everybody looks at it saying, oh my God, this company is going downhill. You better get out of it. And they turned that into a sell only. And that's why they do these reverses. And guess what they want to do now, thanks to the guy from Virtue and NASDAQ, they want to get companies not be able to use that reverse tactic anymore. So if your stock goes to 90 cents, the NASDAQ, because of Virtue, wants you to not be able to even save your company anymore. Once you go below 90 cents, if you don't reverse it to actually bring in buyers that can buy it at a higher level, right, to save your ass down the road after you murder everybody, that's your second attempt at trying to survive. They're telling you, no, 90 cents, you can't, you got to do it yourself. And what that does is make companies eventually get more dilutive funding, the stocks will just keep crashing, and eventually they go to zero, and who makes all the money? The naked shorts.
Nice rigged game.
They rigged the game, it's their ball, and guess what?
And it's illegal.
They're using the system against us. And the only company that I know that is standing here fighting for us is Finger Motion. GPI was fighting for us, but the CEO had to change of heart and close the deal, and now he wasn't fighting for us, so he's removed now. And he's now going to have to. Now we have a receiver in there, and that can turn around quickly. We just have to wait for Richard Hoffman to give us an update on that. And that'll be two companies.
He's giving an update apparently tonight.
So that'll be two companies that we know are fighting us. I can't tell you any other company that's fighting for you. AMC shareholders who are ready to bust, what do you do? Raise money.
Big nose.
GameStop, I have to say that everybody loves Ryan Cohen. I love him too, reason, but I think the SEC forced them to sell stock to the shorts, and he sold them, I don't know, 140 million shares of stock for money. You know, so he's covered the shorts. I don't know if to tell those people, but you know, until someone tells me who bought it, you know, I can only imagine that they're not saying it for a reason. But they keep buying the stock, so good luck. What else, Mayor?
I don't know.
I think I'm trying to touch on everything I can.
Yeah, Kid is pointing out that in the case of Finger, Lynn Partners hung around too long. They had a chance to get out when the note was bought back.
Yep, they wanted nothing. They trapped themselves before. They wanted stock. The company got rid of them, and now they're trapped. That's it. This is just the way it is. They're takes. They thought they can always win. No one ever beats them. That's how they think. Well, now they joined the old GameStop. This is a different type of squeeze than GameStop. GameStop had institutional hedge fund short squeeze, not retail. Because in Finger Motion, there's plenty of retail people that own a lot of stock, but we can't squeeze them, right? You could take the 224 stock and they come back with 300 shares at 222. Take the 222 stock, they offer 200 at 220. That is, you know, how much more retail stock buying do we have to do all the time? You don't have to do this all day long. The short's here now. So if you want to buy it, it's right there for you to take. If you don't feel it, you want to watch it, watch it. I could care less. But I will tell you, even if the SEC is listening, I would advise everyone to buy one share for $2.20. Okay, even if you're not involved, this is a ticket to understand and see what happens if we're right. When we're right, excuse me. And you get to see a short squeeze trade. Imagine buying one share at 220, selling it at 12, buying it back at 10, selling it at 18, buying it back at 16, selling it at 30. And you get to see how you can actually trade a short squeeze. This will teach you, it's an education that I don't think you'll ever get anywhere else. And you can do it for $2.20. So instead of going to, what business school, you're getting it for $2.20. You're getting a chance to learn and see how a short squeeze stock trades. And that's for $2.20. And it doesn't go to me, it goes to you. Does anyone have a question about that?
No, there's no question on
Do you,
it.
do you agree about that, William, at all?
Yeah. Why pay Wharton?
I think you get a chance to see what I believe is an event of a lifetime, and it's right in front of
Why pay Wharton?
you. That's what they're going to teach you, so you might as well just learn it yourself for $2.20, whatever it is. I think everyone should buy one share for their kids, anyone, just so they can watch it every day. Hey, I'm going to teach you how to watch the stock market, for $2.20. I'm sure that won't break the bank. You can't even get a cup of coffee for $2.20.
That's actually a good point you just made.
What?
It's cheaper than a cup of coffee.
It cost me in the morning $7 and
You know what else is cheaper than a cup of coffee is a gallon of gasoline. That is the most mispriced resource in the world. Look what you can do with gasoline.
do everything with it.
Everything.
And there's a nice print at 218. I think we were at 49,000. Now it's 53. I just walked away for a second. So there's a wash at 218. I don't know what the amount was, but people don't even offer it. They just sell it and cross it. When the bid stays the same, that tells you it's a wash. And I have to sit here and watch it and babysit it all day long. This is the most moronic thing of it. This is crime in super slow motion. Super slow motion. And I'm sitting here willing to let the stock go because I know the company's fundamentals are strong. David Tucker's telling you to buy China. Finger Motion only does business in China. So your fundamental story is right there. Benchmark gave it a target of 5+. That's before the explosion in China right now. So what is the panic? There's no panic. I have no panic. Give me the panic. I don't know what it is. I don't give. Everyone give me the panic story. I don't know what the panic story is. GameStop raises $5 billion. Everyone's posting, raising money, having cash in the bank is the greatest thing in the world. I don't believe that's true, but they do. I got it. I don't know. Nothing else? Everybody okay? Kilo doing nothing. Great news. TV. What does the company have to do to get their stock to go up? What do they have to do? I don't even know what they have to do anymore.
They have to cheat.
I don't own the stock, but I'm super excited about it because we all have pets. They're part of your family. And these guys want to they don't even care. Just stealing money. That's all they care about. If they can save your pets and somehow get that formula to work for humans, wouldn't it be nice to save your mom, your grandmother, God forbid, a child, anyone?
Your mother-in-law?
Mother-in-law or anybody. They don't even care. They could care less. They just think about that. They could care less. And I'm just showing you different types of stock. I showed you Tesla. The New York Times put a story out. You can Google it. The New York Times. This the New York Times fake story on Tesla. Read about it. Elon Musk had to come out and defend it. And then today, because of what he's done, he was able to buy Twitter and he was able to build his SpaceX. And look at all the great things he's done. Imagine if they broke his back then. All those things wouldn't happen. Right? Think about Finger Motion. All the things that they're doing, selling data right in China. Snowflake sells China data in the U.S., SNOW, and it's worth $55 billion market cap. It's a mature business, but that's what data does to you. It's $55 billion. Finger Motion's $150 million market cap. That's a big spread to close up, right? So when you hear me say, I think the stock is going to 100, I really do believe the stock's going to 100 on its own.
There's no other questions. Did you get a hold of David Tepper?
That's not me. I didn't graduate Carnegie Mellon.
You didn't?
I graduated I was on the 60th Street stickball team. That's what I was going. No, I did not. But I have no fear of talking to David Tepper.
I don't think people should listen to you anymore unless you graduated Carnegie Mellon.
I graduated talking to money managers like him. To me, I have no fear of talking to those guys. I've spoken to the best.
I know.
I have no fear. I know people that were terrified of talking to these money managers, like they can't understand it. They're not asking me to do brain surgery. They ask me about stocks, which I'm an expert on. So they value our opinions a lot. Trust me. They'll know 2 seconds that I know what I'm talking about. 2 seconds. And my conversation with them, if I get in front of them, would be 5 minutes.
If you had gone to Carnegie Mellon, you would have just studied one course.
I'd still be there.
You'd still be on short selling 101.
Short selling 101. And then they did this.
Trying to get a PhD, and they'd be telling you, well, you've got to broaden your knowledge. And you're saying, no, I just want to focus on this one textbook.
Right. The only thing I could study. And I have relayed that I'm willing to travel and go sit down and talk with him wherever he is. So I did offer that services. But I think the shareholder that's got millions at stake, I think he knows how to do it. But no, I will not. When I'm told, I may not be able to say anything because the proposal for him to buy the stock and to then go to the company to get bigger, these guys are not looking to buy 100,000 shares of stock. So they're not going to buy 100,000 shares and say, I bought this stock and hopefully it goes crazy. That's not what they're looking for. Guys like to buy positions. Just like Andrew Luck likes to short the stock to get his friends in positions before they tell the world. Guys who want to get a position in a company, acquire it first. Then when they go over a certain percentage, they let people know, or if they want to file, they file. But again, I'm confident we're going to get to him. I have no idea what he's going to do, but I think the story is compelling that he has a company that, if you just look through all the moving parts, is definitely plugged into China, old China. And then when he hears about the naked short position, which I'm sure they know about, not this stock, but I'm sure they know about naked shorts because everyone knows what happened in GameStop. And if I can present my data, my business plan about GameStop from before it happened, and show them that this is the next one, I think I can get him to put his toe in the water. So that's what it's about.
Somebody from pickleball. Are you playing pickleball in a wheelchair?
I'm definitely going to go outside today. The sun's out, and I'm going to hit some balls into the net, just to get a feel. My paddle broke. I got a new paddle. They gave me a new one. The warranty gave me another one, so I'm going to go test it out today. And I haven't been back to the doctor yet. I only had the surgery last Friday, so not this past Friday, Friday before, so I'm like 10 days out. And for people who want to get the surgery, I think the biggest problem is just the sleeping at night. And I think that's the only problem I have. The range of motion, the pedaling. I just keep doing the bike. I've done it twice already. I have to do it 6 times.
That's good. Rehab is the most important part.
I'm doing that. I got some nice black and blues. I got some. I have huge swelling, but that all went down with ice. I put ice on it throughout the day, and I just keep going through it. There's nothing you can do. Listen, if it's gonna make the next 25 years of my life good, where I can walk around and not have for bone on bone, I'm good. Trust me, when I was walking before that, grinding, you know, it's definitely. Hey, listen, I fought through all that pain, so I was terrified about getting surgery. I never had it before, so
now it's just bone on steel.
no, I don't know. Got me this. I put a photo of what the guy showed me. I don't even know how they put that in, but I didn't ask any questions. So again,
You're brave.
someone told me that a woman who was, I guess, as an intern, she had to go into a knee replacement or shoulder replacement surgery, and she passed out. That's how brutal it is, you know, the chopping and sawing and banging. You know, so that's, they say it's a very
It sounds
brutal
barbaric.
surgery. I don't want to go through the gory details. Nor do I have to go and look at it. But I was told that it's pretty barbaric what they do. But hey, listen, you know, people are coming out the other side. Yeah, I'm one of 50 million people that have done it. I think worldwide, everyone has knees, and everybody has. And there was a famous company that used to knew about it. I think it was taken over. Stryker, S-T-R-A. S-T-R-Y, I think it was. S-T-R-Y. But it's still public. S-Y-K. That's the company. $358. I remember that company was $65. And it's sort of like the other company that got taken over. I don't know, did it get taken over? Yes.
I don't know.
IRSG was the robotics company that made the Da Vinci system, the robotics that helped work and do the surgery. I remember that one. I think that was taken over too.
I can't wait till we have Star Trek medical care.
That is Star Trek medical care.
Cutting your bone out? Ugh.
The robots. I saw the robots in the surgery. These two big things, you know. I assume that was the robotics, but they do, you know. It's ISRG, and the parts are made by Stryker. Imagine that! All these years I knew about it back then. I remember Stryker. I remember being on the desk and people talking about it and saying, "Well, everybody needs a knee, or everyone has a knee, or everyone has a shoulder, you know, and a hip." And they were making the parts, and you know what? Because unlike everyone else on this phone call, we're not doctors. That's why we have no patients. So we have no patients. So if I would have told you, hey, let's go buy ISRG and Stryker, because the robots are going to do the surgery and the replacement's going to be by Stryker, and we would sit there and say, oh, it's going to take too long. Well, 10 years, Stryker went, who knows how much it went to. I see it at 353. I don't even know if it's split. And IRSG, I don't even know what happened to them, but I'm sure that stock was at $1,000 years ago. I don't know who bought them, but that's another company. But you know what? I didn't want to wait. I knew about them. As you can hear, I did know about them. And there you go. Then there was the Da Vinci operating system. I remember that. And ISRG. The Stryker made all the parts. And my friends at Oppenheimer told me about Stryker. And it used to be a hot name, a takeover name, it would go up and down a lot. Eventually we all sit there and say, it's going to take too long if we don't look at it. Meanwhile, everyone in the world needs knees, replacement hips, and they're the company that does it.
Is the stock up?
No, that's today's down. It's $300-something. That's $4K. It's down 73 cents. The high is 360.
They didn't hear you had an operation?
Yeah. That's I'm just giving you how, I knew about these things and, no patience to actually sit with them. And that was, my path was make money every day. Now I changed my mind 3 years ago, saying, hey, you know what? I'm going to stick with these things. I'm going to find something I believe in. I'm going to stick with it. I did. Then I bumped into Lynn Partners, and here we are. That's it.
Yeah.
I couldn't have picked Stryker. I had to pick a stock that has to fight shorts. But in the end, I think we can go past Stryker or past ISRG because of the short squeeze. and thank you very much, and I'm willing to sit here and wait for it now. The
Yeah.
system has created it. Jeff Easton and his buddies were nice enough to fall into the trap. And now it's just the execution of taking care of them, and that's going to be Pat Byrne. Hey, listen, they're the ones that are going to have to face life imprisonment. Good luck. I don't care how old you are, going to jail for life for selling counterfeit shares, and if you stole money already, I'll be packing up and I'll be gone. Maybe they are. I don't know. But this game is over with. You can't have headlines in the newspaper or anywhere that there's counterfeit shares. Counterfeit means that the system is broken. And I don't believe anybody in the government, even though they're retarded, the people that are in charge now, I don't believe that anybody wants that word getting out. And I know Donald Trump and Devin Nunes are not going to allow that to happen. So who they bringing in? Pat Byrne, the executioner. Because this keep popping around, looking at any stock you like. And like I said, it's GameStop. They keep pushing it higher. They just sold stock at 20, 23.33. So when the market pulls back, your trade isn't now buy it up here. If they drop it back down to 21.87, down there, you buy 1,000 shares and they push it back up again. You can see how orderly it's trading, meaning that GameStop is now a pyramid scheme. And what about not being a scheme? I'm not saying that in a negative way. I mean that William buys it, William calls me, I buy it, then I tell him, then Ron Katie tells you, and blah, 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 blah. So it's just basically passing back and forth. And when the buying dries up, the retail buying dries up, that's when the stock drifts back down again. Finger motion is the complete opposite. Every time you get buying, they come with selling. There's another, they just printed a bunch of shares that they just wiped out the 218 bid. Remember, if the shorts thought they could win, they'd let the stock go higher. They just keep trying to hold it down, which is good for anybody that wants to buy it. I got no complaints. I just look at Stryker and ISRG, and I remember owning those things at $65, $68, $70. And look where they are today. So again, I read the news. I studied what the company's done, go through their website. It's all right there. There's nothing Jeff Easton's going to tell me that's going to change my mind. Zero. Him, the two women that work from the CFO and the other one, they're all going to go to jail. So they'll turn on each other. Andrew Left is going to give them up. The Answer Fund is in trouble. Don't forget about that, people. That case is going on, and it takes a little while, but they start giving up people, and they start getting the knocks on the door. Anything else, William? No one has any questions? Come on.
No, a lot of thanks and compliments and projections, but nothing.
I mean, listen, I can project. In my mind, I'll give it my projections is out of this world. The more they sell down here, the better it is. It's only going higher. Right now, they're bidding and they're watching to themselves. They're crossing stock. That's what they're doing. There's no reason for anybody to sell the stock down. The company's fundamental. Just forget the company fundamentals. Buy China, everything in China. David Tepper said it. Go buy everything in China. And you can sit there and say, well, there's so many garbage companies out of China. I agree. I'm 100% with you. But this company's doing business for the Chinese government, works with the Chinese telecom, works with Pacific Life Re, Munich Re, AIZ. I can't remember all the other stupid things they're doing. To me, it's all right there. Just go read it over again. And just think how many stocks in your life you said, boy, when they went, you said, well, I should have bought more. But instead, I was concerned because the stock didn't act well. Well, this stock is not acting well because of manipulation. That's it. There's no other reason. And people, why don't you get more buyers? Well, I'm trying to reach out to my friends to get to the biggest buyer you ever actually know. And you know who he is, David Tepper. I'm not going to sit here and try to make a phone call to get someone to go buy 2,000 shares of stock. Means nothing to me. I just want to make sure you guys are educated. The more educated you understand about it, the better. I told you before, my opinion, I couldn't care less if you don't buy it, couldn't care. But you should 100%, if you're listening to this nonsense, buy one share for your kids, someone who doesn't understand the stock market, and have them check on it, throughout the day and understand the trading patterns. Because once it starts, it's going to be exciting. Is that it, William? There's nothing.
It looks like it's it. I mean, tell him if he can't play pickleball, just get a wheelchair and park at the SEC.
I'd be like Sergeant Dang from what's his name? The Tom Hanks movie. What the hell is it called again? I forgot.
Forrest Gump.
Forrest Gump. Lieutenant Dang, who lost his life in the war. Listen, I can't stress enough what I see. I hope everyone sees. I repeat it so you understand it. You make your decisions on investing based on what you see, but understand the press release, understand what's in front of you, and I think you can make your decision on your own on what to do. My opinion, if you don't want to play, that's fine. I advise you to buy one share so you can understand it. You're risking $2.20, so $2.18 now, because they want to sell it cheaper to you. The company has no toxic debt spiral note on it at all, and yet is under pressure every day. I know people were buying it Friday, took it to 224. I didn't see it this morning, and here it is. They keep wiggling it down, selling it back and forth. Every time there's a bid, there's no offer. There's a bid 216 to 22 to 2,200 shares. It's 300 to 218. And then all of a sudden, before I say 218 to 220, it's the same number, 4,000 by 200. And where did they cross the stock? At 218. And again, they always do the same thing. So it is what it is. I can't stop these guys. They're trying to hide a position. It's the SEC's job. They're sound asleep. Watch the video on T-Lo. How's T-Lo down on the day? What do you want the company to do? We can save your pets and extend your life. Hurry up, let's sell it and mark it down 15 cents. Does that make sense to everybody in the school? I don't own stock, but it doesn't make any sense to me. They want you to think and say, oh my God, that story must have been shitty. What, did they murder the dogs on TV to get it down on the thing? That's what the naked shorts do. They want you to think that they murdered the dogs and that this thing is never going to work. And you have no hope of ever extending your life. That's what these guys are trying to do. That talk about being a scumbag. That's their mentality. Fuck you. We control it. We decide who lives or dies. That's what they're saying. So in my conversation with Pat Byrne, I'm going to show you that naked shorts actually murder people. We know a couple of people died in MMTL pity crowd, right? I'm sure some people have passed away in GTI or Finger Motion, right? Even that guy Lou passed away. All right, that life goes on. Time goes by. These guys think they can win. That's all it's about. But we're standing tall. If I drop, William's got the flag, right? And there you go again. Another cross of 5,000 shares at 216. Does anyone see the crossing, or is it just me? You put a bid up, they hit it, cross it, bid it, cross it.
Well, they got 5,000 to buy.
Well, they just hit the bid for it, just went up by 4,000.
Yeah.
They hit the 216 bid. Now they're going to cross it again at 215. But again, if you go try to buy it, you can't buy on those prints. Whenever you see a bid like this, you jump in front of them and bid 216. because they need to get you out of the way before they can cross it at 215. They can't cross stock to 215 without hitting it at 216. And if you bid 215 and there's a million shares traded at 215, you could be shut out because you may not be able to buy it, meaning that your bid, you don't get any shares. You know what that means, William, when I say you're shut out on a cross? So a lot
I
of
guess
times
you don't get any shares.
That's it. There's a lot of times there's been big crosses, we knew about it. And they say, hey, it's going to cost a million shares of, XYZ at $35. And I call down to the broker and say, hey, we'll buy 100 at 35. Put us into print. Million shares trades, they come back and say, hey, you were shut out, you didn't get anything. Goldman Sachs took the whole thing. And that's what I mean by getting shut out. So when these guys do these crosses, you could be standing at 215 bid of 5,000 shares also, 10,000 trades, and you don't buy a share. That means they're crossing it to themselves. And that happens a lot. And that's what they're doing right now.
Did
I
cost
have to sit here and tell you, David Tepper says buy everything in China. Finger Motion does everything in China, and yet someone's willing to keep trying to mark it down. They're doing it because they want this news to go away. They want David Tepper's news to go away. They want the China positive things out of China to go away. They want this news off the Cape. So by doing that, just like Tilo, they try to make it a negative on the day. Tilo's got nothing to do with Finger Motion, right? No, nothing at all, right? Two different companies, nothing in the same universe, but yet they both. Finger Motion has great news based on China. Tilo's got great news that they're on Fox, the health show on Sunday, telling everybody what they're doing, getting free exposure to millions of people. And what happens? Because people didn't buy the stock today, they mark it down and say, okay, that means nothing, it's over with, get out of here. That's, because they're short, they can't let it come up. Anything else, my friends, before we see the
is
next
Costco doing a forward split?
I've heard that they were going to do a split.
Yeah, I don't see it in the news, but it could be up
Not
there.
going to do that. It's coming out of people on the West Coast. And the stock was 900, 915, and out there. Listen, these stocks that are moving like this much every day, you're either going to make it or get wiped out. So again, today they like it. What they do on Wall Street to keep the Dow Jones in a steady move, they slaughter stocks one day, right?
Right.
So they are killing Goldman Sachs today. I believe they are. Goldman Sachs is down 5 today. And they say, okay, Goldman Sachs is down 5. Let's buy Costco and get it up $7 because that'll equal the Dow and only be down a little bit. They can manage these things based on percentages of the Dow. So they're selling Goldman and buying Costco. If they were selling Costco down, both of them down, the market would be down 200, but it's only down 110, whatever it is. That's how they do it. They manage these things. There's your print. They're starting to print it at 215 now. There's a little bit sold at 215. The negative perception. That's all it's about. Again, I told you, I'm a buyer on sideways movement. I don't believe in chasing. Game of stock is moving up. I would buy with your money because it's moved already. I would have bought it below 22, and you got your dollar in it and flip it and sell it. Because I'm not a diamond fan, so I'm here to flip it and make money. DJT, again, I think that stock is going to go. Right? So you can buy the dip, sell the rips, and hold on to something. If I was playing that one, I'd buy the dip, sell it, and then go buy cheap calls and keep buying the 30 calls. Who gives a shit? Use the profits. And one day, if it works, you kill them. It's funny, GameStop is going up. They covered this short 15 times already. And people keep pushing it up. DJT has got over 700 million shares short. The guy's going to be president of the United States. Devin Nunes is screaming about naked shorts, and that stock is doing nothing. Interesting. And kilo's now down 25 cents from the big event, down 25 cents. Big emotion, remember, 74,000 shares, 215 to 217. Who wants to take action that they're going to cross it at 215? That's a lot. They're going to do that. But remember, if you sold it and tried to sell it to the 215, you won't be able to buy it back. That's the problem. But somebody says, should I sell it and buy it back? It's like you sold it at 215. You sold it at 215, you'll be buying it back at 225 because there's no stock for sale. These are all just fake trades. And if you look at it, Finger Motion has had nothing but solid bids for the last hour. 4,000, 5,000, 3,000, and it's always 200 for sale, yet they keep crossing it. You know it's not a long selling. If you're a long seller and you own 100,000 shares and you want to sell it, you put it out there at 220 and you stay there. And you wait for your price. You don't just keep moving it down. Hurry up, hit the 215 bid for 5,000. And when it goes 212, sell 5,000 down there. And it goes to 210, sell it down there. Because all you're doing is keep losing money. 100,000 shares, and you lose 20 cents, 30 cents is $30,000. Just stay at 220 if you wanted to sell it. But these aren't real sellers. There are no sellers. This is all pure manipulation. That's all he's saying. Nothing else, William?
Nothing else.
Is it raining in DC?
It's overcast. It's wet, but no, I don't think it's really raining.
All right. Well, again, I'll leave you with that. Again, I don't know much more to say. I don't follow much other things, but again, you got to be in it to win it. Again, I recommend everybody buy one share, push it $2.17. Take the pennies out of your drawer, give your kids $2. Let them be in the game to see what it's about and learn. Maybe they can read the news on it. When news comes out, you can read it to them and say, okay, here's some news, positive news. Let's see how it reacts. So for $2, you get to see how stocks react. You can see what happens with the election and Trump wins and Pat Byrne comes in. You get to see all these things for $2 for one share. I think that to me I think that is a fantastic idea. I thought about it a while ago, and I think it's a great idea. And listen, all roads are coming to an end. These guys are not getting away with the crime anymore. It's not going to happen. We're going to have the most powerful man in the world on our side. And you're telling me that they're going to let this get away? Not fair. So, all right, I'll leave you at that. I'll get a slice of pizza and do my exercises, and I'll touch base with you later if anything happens.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Call ended.
All right. Let's see what everybody's saying. I don't know how much more energy I have, but I wanted to ask you guys something. Do you know who the top shareholders are of GE, Comcast, NBC Universal? There's 90% of media is five outlets. Do you know who are the top shareholders of GE, Comcast, which owns NBC and Universal? Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Do you know who the top shareholders are of News Corp, who own Fox Noise, Wall Street Journal, and the New York Post, among other things. Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Do you know who owns Disney, the top shareholders of Disney? And Disney owns ABC, ESPN. Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Do you know who owns Viacom? They own MTV, Black Entertainment Television, and Paramount. Do you know who owns them? Top three? Owns Viacom, Vanguard, State Street, and Summer Redstone. Different. Although I thought he died. Anyway, and then Time Warner. Viacom, I guess, now also owns CBS, or they're a major shareholder of CBS. State Street's the biggest shareholder of CBS. Anyway, Time Warner, who owns CNN, and Warner Brothers, top shareholders. Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. Now, for a little fun, let's just find out quickly. I can't believe you guys can't see that name, but whatever. All right, let's just find out quickly. The top six defense contractors in the country. Top shareholders of the number one defense contractor is Lockheed Martin. Let's just see who the top shareholders. Changes I made might not be saved. Let's go over here. Sorry. Cancel. I'm going to go over here. All right. I can be stupid sometimes. I was typing on the wrong place. Okay. Top shareholders of Lockheed Martin. As of December 23, top shareholders of Lockheed, State Street Corporation, Vanguard Group, BlackRock. So you're telling me the top three holders of the media in the United States are the top shareholders of Lockheed Martin. But we can trust the media. We can trust it, particularly if you vote for Kamala and believe in not being Neville Chamberlain. All right, so let's see top shareholders of Northrop Grumman. They're the number two defense contractor in the United States. Largest shareholders include State Street Corp, Vanguard Group, and BlackRock. Top three. Wait a minute. 90% of the media is owned by Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street as the largest shareholders of 90%. So you're saying those three investment companies own the largest shareholders of Lockheed and Northrop. All right, it can't be. Can't keep happening, can it? Top shareholders of BAE Systems. BlackRock. This one's a little different. This one is a little different. Capital Research. But it's BlackRock is the second largest, is 18 at 8%. All right. So this one only has BlackRock. Of course, who is FMR? Who's Invesco? Other major shareholders include, no, it looks like with BAE Systems, it's just BlackRock as a major. All right, let's look at top shareholders of General Dynamics. Longview, Vanguard Group, BlackRock, State Street, among others. All right, so the fourth largest company in defense is owned by our three friends. All right, let's see about top shareholders of L3 Harris Technologies. Vanguard's number one, BlackRock's number two, but that's it. Vanguard, BlackRock, and there's State Street comes in fifth. All right, our three friends are there. We'll try one more. Top shareholders of Boeing. Vanguard Group, BlackRock, and State Street. Wow, so the top 6 defense companies are the largest shareholders include State Street, but 5 of the top 6, the largest shareholders are State Street, Vanguard, and BlackRock, and the largest media companies who represent 90% of the media in the United States, their largest shareholders are Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. And I know you can trust what the media is telling you. I know you can. For example, let's just look up who is going to, that's bad structure for Google question, rebuild Ukraine. Who is going to rebuild Ukraine? $1 trillion race to rebuild Ukraine. 1 trillion. Let's see, in the Japan Times, as orders for backup electricity surged, Turkish company, Aksa Power, European Investment Bank, 1 trillion. Adjusted for inflation, the rebuilding of Ukraine is more than 5 times as big as the Marshall Plan. Turkish companies, German, Austrian, JP Morgan. Let's keep looking. Remember, this media controlled, although the Japan Times you think is independent. US and European companies. Well, it looks like they might spread it around. All right, let me ask my question differently. Well, let's just go back and see other headlines. US-Ukraine launch rebuilding initiative. The world's largest construction site, the Ukraine, from the New York Times. We are going to rebuild Ukraine from scratch. Cora, who will pay to rebuild Ukraine after the war? Let's see who will pay under Cora. They say Russia. Well, good luck with that. Rebuild. All right. Right down here, I didn't click it. I didn't put it in. Right here, BlackRock contract. Let's open that up. BlackRock and JP Morgan back $15 billion fund to rebuild Ukraine. Zelensky, this is from Princeton University. Zelensky, BlackRock announced new investment initiative to rebuild Ukraine. Global asset manager BlackRock will coordinate investment in rebuilding Ukraine's economy, Kiev announced on Wednesday. Following a meeting between Vladimir Zelensky and BlackRock CEO Larry Fink, the government confirmed that Wall Street Titan, the Titan, had agreed to coordinate, quote, the efforts. So BlackRock under Larry Fink are going to coordinate all efforts of potential investors and participants in the reconstruction of Ukraine. BlackRock will channel capital, of course, without taking anything for greedy Larry Fink. BlackRock will channel capital into multiple sectors of the Eastern European country's economy. Since an initial meeting between Zelensky and Fink in September of BlackRock, the transfer of public and private investments into Kiev, the two sides have been working on a comprehensive project advising the government, quote, on how to structure the nation's reconstruction funds. We'll do it for free because we're patriotic. The Ministry of the Ukrainian Economy and BlackRock Financial Markets Advisory signed a memorandum confirming the plan. BlackRock will advise the ministry on establishing a roadmap for the investment framework's implementation, including identifying design choices, setup, structure, mandate, and governance. The $8 trillion asset manager said, sorry, I keep screwing up. They met with Joey Biden. Just keep voting for Kamala Harris. So Ukraine is going to become one of the best in the world in terms of opportunities for investors. We must act quickly. It's important for Nestle. Yeah. Okay, let's look up bread basket of Europe. AI. Ukraine is known as the breadbasket of Europe because of its fertile land, climate, and access to multiple seas. Ukraine is one of the world's top producers and exporters of agricultural commodities. Ukraine has long been known as the breadbasket of Europe. When it was part of the Soviet Union, it had been known as the breadbasket of the Soviet Union. All right, let's just check. BlackRock, Ukrainian farmland. The stealth takeover of Ukrainian, let's see, this is from the Oakland Institute, who I don't know much about. I actually never heard of. Amidst the chaos of war, a new report exposes the stealth takeover of Ukrainian agricultural land. I don't know what this article's going to say. 1 year after the Russian invasion of Ukraine, about 7 years after Victoria Nuland provoked Russia, and about a year and a half after Kamala Harris said that we were going to move NATO into the Ukraine, a red line. But hey, who's keeping source of track of accountability? War and theft, the takeover of Ukraine's agricultural land. The total amount of land controlled by oligarchs, corrupt individuals, and large agribusinesses is over 9 million acres. I don't know how to pronounce that real word for sure. Hectares. Exceeding 28% of Ukrainians' arable land, mostly European and North American, and the sovereign fund of Saudi Arabia. Prominent U.S. pension funds, foundations, university endowments are invested through NCH Capital. I wonder who funds NCH Capital. Several agribusinesses have opened up to Western banks and investment funds, including Kopernik, BNP, Vanguard. Let me see. Vanguard is the top holder in the list of GE, Comcast, NBC. Vanguard's the top shareholder in News Corp, Fox Noise. Vanguard is the top shareholder in Disney, ABC. Vanguard is the top shareholder in Viacom. Vanguard is the top shareholder in Time Warner, CNN. Let's look up Bill Clinton Telecommunications Act. Here's Orwellian. The act to promote competition and reduce regulation in order to secure lower prices. That's the liar that Bill Clinton is. What did the Telecommunication Act of 1996 do? All right, let's see if there's any opinion. 20 years later, this is The Hill. This is from The Hill. So The Hill is a left-leaning paper. This was written in 2016. Washington's tech policy wonks are celebrating an anniversary this week. 20 years ago, Monday, President Bill Clinton signed the 1996 Telecommunications Act into law. Designed to deregulate the telecommunications business, it was the first overhaul of the law that created the Federal Communications Commission in more than 6 decades. Left unsaid is no Republican was able to get this done, including Ronald Reagan. That's my own comment. Supporters said the law would create more competition in the telecommunications industry, an industry which was only beginning to grapple with the transformative power of the internet. Bill Clinton said, "It promotes competition as the key to opening up new markets and new opportunities. It will help connect every classroom in America onto the information superhighway by the end of the decade. It will protect consumers by regulating the remaining monopolies for a time and by providing a roadmap for deregulation in the future."
Journalist Christopher Hitchens provides a criticism of President Clinton from the left side of the political spectrum in his book, No One Left to Lie To, The Triangulation of William Jefferson Clinton. He argues that the president's personal indiscretions are mirrored by the way he approaches public policy. We talked with Mr. Hitchens Friday on C-SPAN's Washington Journal.
We welcome him back, Christopher Hitchens, Vanity Fair. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thanks for being with us. And the author of this book, No One Left to Lie To. You talk about it inside the book. How'd you come up with this title?
There's a guy, there is a guy, a good man called David Shippers, David Shippers, who was he's a Chicago Democrat, rather of the old school, prosecutor, who was hired by Henry Hyde to be the chief counsel for the House Judiciary Committee. And in his summary closing speech to the impeachment debate before the committee, he said, look, the president has now lied in a civil deposition. He's lied to a grand jury. He's lied to all his cabinet. He's lied to all his colleagues, to his family, to the American people. Blah, blah, blah. There's no one left to lie to. And I was watching this. I had an earlier title in mind for the book. It was even in the catalog already. But the publishers were furious when, having seen this, I was watching it at Miami Airport on Airport TV. I thought that's got to be the title. It's perfect.
What was the original title?
It was going to be Ask Not, Tell Not.
Why did you and your publisher select this picture for the cover?
I had no idea until I sat down with the design people how many pictures there were of Clinton looking both smug and wicked and mendacious all at the same time. But that is almost the perfect one. And there's also a hint of triumph here. in this one, as if he really does feel, I think that's everybody. I don't think there can be anyone left to lie to.
When I say
But
that,
my book is addressed to all the people who wanted to be lied to, and who still do. So in a way, he wins again until I can turn the tide.
when I say
All right. No one left to lie to. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton brought deregulation to the cable industry and lifted the national cap on radio ownership. Bill Clinton also eased the rules that apply to broadcasters. It touched on universal service. Some have argued that parts of the law had detrimental effects on the communications market. In many ways, the Telecom Act failed, Common Cause said, to serve the public and did not deliver on its promise of more competition, more diversity, lower prices, more jobs, and a booming economy. Instead, the public got more media concentration, less diversity, and higher prices. All right, well, good on him, right? Good on him. What a great president. Let's just look for our last bit of question. Who will rebuild? Who will save your soul? I didn't even have to type it. Who will save your soul? Let's see if I can open up a Bloomberg article. Gaza reduced to 42 million tons of rubble. What will it take to rebuild? Written August 15th, 2024. As U.S.-backed ceasefire talks start in Doha, calls to reconstruct the Strip are becoming louder. This is written by Fadwa Adali, Faraz Akram, Jason Cow, Jenna Hock, and Jeremy Lin. Moving through the Gaza Strip to avoid Israeli airstrikes, Rana Abu Nasira often used Google Earth to look at the home she had been forced to abandon. Unaware that this is Bloomberg, unaware that the geo browser's imagery does not update in real time, the 37-year-old was reassured to see the house she shared with her husband and son had survived the chaos and bombardments of the Israeli-Hamas war. Reality hit this spring when the family finally returned to Bani Suheila, a small town in southern Gaza, and found a desolate and disfigured landscape lacerated with giant piles of rubble and mangled metal rods. Their home lay in ruins. Just a single tree was left standing in the garden. I was like, this is not our neighborhood. This is not our street or our house, Abu Nasira said. It was crazy. It's a story repeated across the south of the narrow territory when breaks in the fighting allow families to leave camps in safe zones and return to their properties, and even if briefly. Access to areas north of the Netzarim corridor, the military road built by Israel in March, is restricted. That is to allow Israel to pursue its stated goal of seeking out Hamas fighters and infrastructure in retaliation for a deadly incursion by the Islamist group considered a terrorist organization by the United States and the European Union on October 7th. Since then, more than 70% of Gaza's housing. Since then, more than 70% of Gaza's housing. Since then, more than 70% of Gaza's housing. Since then, more than 70% of Gaza's housing, already depleted in previous conflicts, has been reported as damaged, along with schools, hospitals, and businesses. Most of Gaza's 2.2 million people are displaced, crammed into a tiny slice of land along the Mediterranean coast, largely cut off from fresh water, food, medicine, and basic sanitation, aid agencies say. It's written by Bloomberg. Amid all the havoc, well, I should say it's published by Bloomberg. Amid all the havoc of Israel's military operation, more than 40,000 people in Gaza have died. It's a hell of an eye for an eye. According to Israeli news sources, separate from this, of the 1,700 people killed on October 7th, half, possibly more than half, were killed by Israeli soldiers. So let's just call it 1,000 people were killed by Hamas. The eye for an eye here, according to Bloomberg, one Israeli life is worth 4,000 Palestinian lives equal eye for eye, one Israeli life. Anyway, let's move on without putting any thought into it. This is normal. This is perfectly normal. It's justified. And we should be no more upset with this than Taylor Swift had an argument with her boyfriend. In fact, we should be more upset. Let's put Taylor Swift on the front page of every newspaper. Amid the havoc of Israel's military operation, more than 40,000 people in Gaza have died. See, now that's the problem. You're not going to believe this source. According to the Hamas-run health ministry, which doesn't distinguish between civilians and combatants. Okay, so they killed 40,000 combatants, I'm sure. The scale of the destruction means that as ceasefire talks restarted on Thursday in the Qatari capital Doha, the parallel process of reconstruction is also being discussed at the highest level. How much debris covers the Gaza Strip? 52,000 tons in an area the size of 2 New York City blocks. 52 tons of debris in an area the size of 2 New York City blocks. Here's their rendition of the rubble. Here's down in the corner a map of the West Bank and Gaza Strip in Israel. So far, Israeli airstrikes have left more than 42 million tons of debris across the Strip, according to the United Nations. Well, of course, Bibi just went in and called the United Nations a cesspool of anti-Semitism. And Ronald Reagan didn't fund the UN, but now the Democratic Party's on the side of Ronald Reagan. Okay, so Israeli airstrikes have left more than 52 million tons of debris across Gaza Strip, according to the UN. That's enough rubble to fill a line of dump trucks stretching from New York City to Singapore. Removing it all may take years and cost as much as $700 million. The task will be complicated by unexploded bombs, a lot of them depleted uranium, by the way, dangerous contaminants, and human remains. Well, at least they called Palestinians human. The majority of the debris is destroyed housing, and its distribution across the strip roughly mimics Gaza's population density before the war. Oh, so they just bombed where the people were. I guess that's okay. At least 8.5 million tons of debris will have to be cleared from Khan Yunis, where Bani Suhaila is located and where Abu Nasir's family home stood. The governorate once produced most of Gaza's citrus fruit, including oranges and grapefruits. Its orchards and fields now lie in ruins. At least half the strip's farmland has been destroyed, leading to a collapse of the agricultural sector that will take years to overcome, according to Juzur, a local charity partnered with Oxfam. So you're not going to trust it because it's an Islamic charity, but maybe you'll trust Oxfam. I don't know. Wow. That sounds like, that looks like war, doesn't it? That looks like war to me. You've got armies on both sides, and the result is the destruction of civilian housing. That looks like war. Normal. That's not genocide. Nowhere near it. Hamas killed almost 1,000 people on October 7th, really. They deserve it. The situation is particularly acute in the north. Gaza City, previously the Palestinian territory's largest urban center, and its surrounding areas have been extensively damaged, accounting for more than half of the strip's debris. Yeah, that looks like a war zone. Equally balanced armies against each other. Look at the equipment the Palestinians have. The tanks, the armor, the fortresses, the jeeps, the soldiers. Look at all the soldiers. Sorry, I can only, it's hard to read this. Rebuilding Gaza and the lives of its residents will require a complete overhaul of its entire physical infrastructure and some form of political solution over what a new Gaza will look like. But before any of that can happen, the collection and disposal of all the rubble after the war ends will be of paramount importance. Oh my gosh. God bless this trapped soul. Look at the equipment the Palestinians have. Just the sheer amount of civilian equipment, much less army equipment. They are a powerhouse, Gaza. The Gazanians are. Oh, God bless each one of you. Property rights and difficulties in finding disposal sites for contaminated debris, depleted uranium, anyone? Will further complicate the process. Rebuilding Gaza could cost far more than $80 billion when taking into account hidden expenses like the long-term impact of a labor market devastated by death, injury, and trauma, according to Daniel Egel, a senior economist at the California-based think tank RAND. You can rebuild a building, but how do you rebuild the lives of 1 million children? And it's not clear who's going to pay. What we see in Gaza is something that we have never seen before in the history of urbanism, said Mark Jarzombic, an architectural history professor at the Massachusetts Institute of Technology, who has studied post-World War II reconstruction. Quote, it's not just the destruction of physical infrastructure, it's the destruction of basic institutions of governance and a sense of normality, unquote. Further quoting, the cost of rebuilding will be prohibitive. Construction sites on this scale have to be emptied of people, creating another wave of displacements. No matter what one does, for generations, Gaza will be struggling with this, Jarzombic added. A meeting of donor countries and global charities in the West Bank city of Ramallah on August 12 was the opening salvo in those efforts to secure financial aid. Organized by the UN Development and Environmental Programs and the Palestinian Authority, which is the only internationally recognized body representing Palestinians. It discussed, even though the Palestinians voted differently, but whatever, we're all for democracy. It discussed what should happen next. Given the money, manpower, and equipment needed, devising a plan now for debris clearance is crucial so that work can start as soon as fighting ends. Ahed Cieso, the Palestinian Authority's Minister for Public Works and Housing, told reporters. Damaged housing drives the cost of Gaza's conflicts. Value of buildings destroyed between October 23 and January 24, $13.3 billion. Gaza is no stranger to conflict. Hamas has fought 4 other wars with Israel since 2007. 4 since 2007, when it wrested power of the Strip from Fatah, its rival, who leads the Palestinian Authority and is based in the West Bank, the larger of the 2 Palestinian territories. This war is by far the longest and most damaging. After previous rounds of fighting, Gulf states, the EU, US, and Japan were among the donors who pledged, but didn't always provide, funds to help Gaza's recovery. Qatar was one of the biggest backers, investing directly in roads, hospitals, and housing complexes, as well as agricultural and infrastructure projects, plus grants amounting to hundreds of millions of dollars over a decade. But key players have said they are reluctant to contribute again without a negotiating track to a political solution which ends the cycle of violence. Intense debate over what that would entail is ongoing alongside the ceasefire talks between and escalating tensions with Iran and the Tehran-backed militia Hezbollah. Well, I don't know if that's true 100%, but I guess it's more accurate than not. Arab states are among the, and what I mean is I think Hezbollah also has internal roles that are different than military, but I don't know. That's something that would require study. Arab states are among those advocating for a comprehensive plan for Gaza immediately after the war to create two states and a governing role for a reinvigorated Palestinian Authority, which does not include Hamas. US President Joe Biden's administration is pushing Israel's current religious nationalist government, which opposes Palestinian sovereignty and doesn't want to cede control over security for greater flexibility. In Ramallah, officials from the Palestinian Authority have been mapping out Gaza's reconstruction for months. They presented their vision to the international community in Brussels in May and have been trying to drum up support ever since. Gaza's growing cleanup problem. From November 2023 to July 2024, existing dump site, they got three of them. We got 3 dump sites, but the tons of debris have grown from 4 million to 42 million in about 8 months. Despite being sidelined in Gaza, since Hamas's power grab 17 years ago, the Palestinian Authority still pays about 40% of the Strip's official expenditure, such as the salaries and pensions of civil servants, as well as services like water and electricity, which are largely controlled by Israel. It also coordinated, the Palestinian Authority coordinated rebuilding efforts following the previous conflict between Israel and Hamas with international institutions, aid organizations, and the various UN agencies. That's likely to be the case this time. All parties will have to agree on a reconstruction blueprint. Foremost Israel, which has blocked the so-called dual-use materials, anything which could help Hamas build tunnels or weapons from entering the territory since 2007. We hope for a complete withdrawal of Israel's troops from the Gaza Strip. We need to move freely and control our borders in order for the material to enter Gaza. We hope Israel will not ban its entry. When asked about debris removal, a spokesperson for Israel's coordinator of government activities in the territories, a defense ministry body, said it is focusing on facilitating aid for now. Israeli officials said it's too early to comment on reconstruction. We've got to level the entire strip to the ground first. I added that, I'm sorry. Israel launched its air and ground offensive a day after Hamas fighters crossed into southern Israel, killing about 1,200 people and taking around 250 hostages back into Gaza, which is terrible. The release of those still captive in the Strip in exchange for Palestinian held in Israel jails is a major focus of ceasefire negotiations. Israel says that part of the reason so much of the territory has been destroyed is because Hamas rooted itself in every physical part of life and then dug some 500 miles of tunnels for a fortified underground base. Israel believes Yahya Sinwar, the attack's mastermind, is hiding in the Strip. Israel sees defeating Hamas as an existential challenge. Well, it certainly is an existential challenge to the children in Palestine who have nowhere to go. Not only to stop it from ever attacking again, but also to send a warning to other anti-Israel militias like Hezbollah and the Houthis in Yemen that they will be hunted down and destroyed. There's a mother of these Palestinian terrorists. Why not destroy her before any more Palestinian terrorists are born? Look at that. I can't think of an analog in the United States. You're living in Los Angeles and people come up from Mexico and bomb your neighborhood to smithereens. That was a home and an automobile. Oh. This is normal, guys. This is normal. Look at those terrorists. They wear sheets, they wear towels on their head. They've got to be terrorists. The water is stagnant, disease, mosquitoes, polio. Look at the children out to play. And the old man, the grandfather, the father, searching for something to remember his family. He looks like a terrorist. He deserves this agony and pain just for being Palestinian. He looks old enough to remember when Menachem Begin destroyed olive groves and went across the Palestinians' farms with tanks and jeeps like a terrorist himself. Yeah, they're moving out. Did they have time to get out? Those terrorists? And the mosque. Thank God we got rid of a mosque. Under the Palestinian Authority's plan, all unexploded munitions will be dismantled as soon as it gets the green light to begin reconstruction. Roads will then be cleared to allow access to temporary accommodation sites not yet built. The Zio said each cluster will include schools, playgrounds, and government offices, and will be set up as money becomes available near destroyed urban centers so that citizens can help the rebuilding process. At the same time, rubble clearance will begin. After previous wars, people tended to stay with family or rented property while their homes were being rebuilt. The scale of destruction means that is no longer possible. Aid agencies worry about people like Abu Nasira and her family removing rubble themselves and living in unsafe makeshift homes. Where do they have to go? They can't fly to Europe. They can't walk down to New Jersey. They can't hop a train into Connecticut. Where do they go? After returning to their property in March, when Israeli forces withdrew from the area, they cleared their garden and cobbled together a shelter with wood, blankets, and debris. Neighbors did the same or moved on to damaged buildings. Some people have been sleeping in the street. Thank God they got what they deserved. Thank God. Bizayos said that little can be done to stop them leaving Mawasi, the designated safe zone along the coast southwest of Khan Yunis, where the stench of raw sewage, infectious diseases, and searing summer heat has made life under its plastic tents unbearable. He said, wanting to regain a sense of normality was understandable. When Abu Nasira initially fled her home in Bani Suhaila with her husband and 10-year-old son, she thought it would be a short break. Instead, they have moved 9 times in a few months, sheltering in schools and camps, surviving aerial bombardment, the cold of winter, hunger, and dehydration, and lost relatives, including a cousin killed in an airstrike near their house while riding his bike. He was going to grow up to be a terrorist. Why should he expect to live more than his youth? Here's Abu Nasira and her son by their destroyed home in August. Her son searching through the rubble of their house. Oh, God bless you. Oh my God. Chitos Noguchi, senior UNDP official tasked with supporting the Palestinian people, stressed how complicated the process of removing the rubble will be at the August 12th meeting. The program has extensive experience in Gaza, she said, but given the number of bodies buried within the debris, some 10,000 according to the UN, as well, listen to that. The program has experience, but given the number of bodies buried in the debris, 10,000 according to the UN. Well, 1,200 died on October 7th. I guess it's not evened up because you need to kill 4,000 Palestinians apparently for every 1,000 Israelis who were killed. I'm telling you, this thinking leads to World War III. This time is very different, and it will require a new way of doing things. The UN said that thousands of people are needed to collect and dispose of the rubble, and that there isn't a large enough labor force to simultaneously handle work in both Gaza and Ukraine. So it has begun training people in Jordan. An imam will be on hand to ensure the dignity of the dead and that Islamic law is respected, and will guide the actions of specialists. Legal experts will handle property rights, made more complex by the complete destruction of some neighborhoods and the deaths of landowners. Skilled teams will help identify dangerous objects and deal with any immediate and long-term health risks from toxic waste. Rubble is an ideal environment for sandflies, which can spread leishmaniasis, a deadly parasitic skin condition if left untreated. Yellow scorpions and vipers nest in rocky crevices. Then there's asbestos, widely used as an insulating agent. An estimated 2.3 million tons of debris in Gaza contains the material, according to the UN. Banned in dozens of countries, it can release airborne particles that can cause multiple kinds of cancer, like mesothelioma. Hazardous substances from damaged hospitals is another concern. They give a list. You got to do the initial cleaning up what's left, and dispose of it. The UN has proposed 2 spots in Gaza for such debris. Why don't you go dump it on the Knesset? One in the north and one in the south, along the fence with Israel. Basil Nasser al-Kaffarna, the Palestinian Minister of State for Emergency Relief, said 20 square miles are needed for these sites, and that areas near the sea are also being considered. That, I thought 20 square miles is the whole size of Gaza Strip. Contaminants seeping into groundwater is a worry, and backfilling certain areas would require environmental studies along with approval from neighboring countries, said Bizayo. The exact location will be determined once Israel decides if it will expand its security buffer to 1 kilometer into Gaza. Uncontaminated debris can be used for reconstruction after being pulverized into concrete. The UN estimates that reprocessing only half of such rubble would be enough to rebuild Gaza's entire road network. Officials have suggested using it for sea defense structures, such as groins to protect from coastal erosion and flooding. Other potential uses include pavement for blocks, for sidewalks, drainage channels, and culverts. If the territory were to recycle just half of this rubble, it could recuperate about a third of the cleanup costs and shave off $143 million from the total bill. We are determined to rebuild Gaza in a healthy and transparent way, expressing hope that the Strip will be reunited politically with the West Bank. He stressed that whatever is left of cultural heritage dating back 2,000 years will be preserved, including Gaza City's 7th century Omari Grand Mosque and the 13th century's Qajar Palace. For Abu Nasira and other families, the respite was short. She and her husband, a former Palestinian Authority employee, and their son only spent about 6 months on their property. They were uprooted again in July after another evacuation order came in the form of leaflets dropped from Israeli planes flying overhead, text messages and posts on the social media platform X. I guess that was another source of info. On their second return, a few days later, Abu Nasira said they found bodies on the streets and so much rubble that they could hardly walk through it. East Khan Yunis was once a highly built-up area where apartment blocks were often home to a single extended family or clan. Outsiders rarely moved in, and residents knew each other so well that neighborhoods were referred to just by the names of families who lived there. Its surrounding farms, full of olive, almond, and peach trees, were among the few places where people wanting a break from the concrete jungle of Gaza City could escape to for a day. Israel says Hamas remains deeply embedded in the region and has been continuing its offensive there intermittently, each time triggering another stream of departures and returns. Years of hard work gone in the blink of an eye, reflecting how she felt that day. I wish there were something left. The family hopes to rebuild. In the meantime, Abu Nasira wants to stay in their bombed out backyard. It amounts to the same misery as living in the camps, but with shade and some privacy. Oh, that's hard to read. I'm going to leave it there. I wanted to find out if Vanguard, BlackRock, and or State Street were going to be part of the rebuilding of Gaza Strip. My guess is they are. I wanted to find out who was in charge of Vanguard, BlackRock, and State Street. I guess I know Larry Fink is in charge of BlackRock, but I don't know who's in charge of the other two. Just so you guys don't think I can't stand Jared Kushner. I think he's a complete, arrogant young punk. Jared Kushner has praised the quote, this is from The Guardian, by the way, UK left paper. Jared Kushner has praised the quote, very valuable potential of Gaza's quote, waterfront property, and suggested Israel should remove civilians while it cleans up, quote, cleans up the strip. The former property dealer, married to Donald Trump's daughter Ivanka, made the comments in an interview at Harvard University on 15 February. His remarks at Harvard give a hint of the kind of Middle Eastern policy which could be pursued in the event that Trump returns to the White House. I hope that this arse, Jared Kushner, is banished to a swamp in Florida. I'm sorry, Donald Trump. I'm just sorry. He went on to say, quote, Gaza's waterfront property could be very valuable if people would focus on building up livelihoods. He lamented all the money, quote, that had gone into the territory's tunnel network and munitions. And then, quote, it's a little bit of an unfortunate situation there, but from Israel's perspective, I would do my best to move the people out and then clean it up. But I don't think that Israel has stated that they don't want the people to move back afterwards. Kushner said that if he were in charge of Israel, his number one priority would be getting civilians out of the southern city of Rafah. And that with diplomacy, it could be possible to move them into Egypt. But, quote, in addition to that, I would just bulldoze something in the Negev. I would try to move people in there. I think that's a better option. So you can go in and finish the job. Kushner added, quote, I do think right now opening up the Negev, creating a secure area there, moving the civilians out, and then going in and finishing the job would be the right move. I'm sitting in Miami Beach right now, Kushner said. And I'm looking at the situation and thinking, what would I do if I was there sick? He went on to say, I'm not sure that there is much left of Gaza at this point. If you think about even the construct, Gaza was not really a historical precedent. It was the result of war. You had tribes in different places, and then Gaza became a thing. Egypt used to run it, and then over time, different governments came in. Responding to a question about whether the Palestinians should have their own state, Kushner described the proposal as, quote, a super bad idea, unquote, that, quote, it would essentially be rewarding an act of terror, unquote. That's the scariest thing to me about Trump becoming president. You get a complete idiot like Kushner in there. Really? I think Peter's done a great job, Mike. I really do. I want to do a video on it. Yeah, you can submit questions to me when he does the interview. Sure. Why ask questions when William doesn't ask him? This is the third time now. Ham's not going to talk about CAUD. Ham doesn't give a shite about collective audience. Ham doesn't care about logic, collective audience, the others associated with it. If you want me to ask, it's just gonna, it goes nowhere. But anyway, Mike, you know best. That's great. Logic. Oh God. I'll try to do a video on logic. Today isn't over, PS 71. So let's look at the SEC filings at the end of the day. But I think the longer logic takes, within reason, so they don't need to raise more money, the better, because they've got to get 7 CEOs to agree to a fair allocation of shares that are in our interest and in their interest. And he has to get the CEOs to ignore the destroyed stock price. But I think he's doing it. And if I had to pick a number, PS 71, I think by January, February, March, Logic could be worth 50 cents. I'm not saying it'll be trading there, but I'm not saying you have to hold it that long. As soon as 1 or 2 of these are announced, the shorts, the real shorts, the illegal shorts, and those who just haven't, were sloppy about reconciling their books unintentionally, they're going to face a decision. Is Logic worth 5 cents a share, 10 cents a share, 30 cents a share, 40 cents, 50 cents? Are they really going to be able to suppress that price? So I think they'll be buying in the stock pretty soon. But you make a good point. It's the last day of September. And let's just see what happens sort of 4 o'clock to 6 o'clock today. If it doesn't happen, it doesn't alarm me, because I think the only thing to look out for is if they need to raise more money, and they might. But they've got some room in the allocated shares. I personally think the delays are in our interest. I tried to explain it the other day. I don't know how to explain it. That's not your fault. That's my fault. But if you put $100 million worth of assets into the current arithmetic, where Logic, we keep 15%, you've got to issue 1.7 billion shares. Well, then you go to the next company and you say, well, we want 15%. You got to issue 2 billion, 3 billion shares, and so on. And it's dilutive, not only to us, but it's dilutive to the new CEOs. So it doesn't make sense to do it that way. So I think to the extent that they can get the pricing, the allocation of all these offerings done at the same time, or roughly the same time, let's just call it between now and the end of the year, but they have the agreements in place, I think it's a good thing. I don't know when you can expect Patrick Byrne. I personally, Mike, don't think Donald Trump's going to be the president of the United States. So let's pray for that first. I'm not as certain about it. They've got polls out there showing Kamala Harris ahead in state after state, 5, 6, 7 points. I don't believe them. I don't believe those polls. But they're there because they know they're going to have to explain to us how she won on election day. Another scenario could be that we go to war. Let me take that down. I don't mean to be provocative. I just forgot. Another thing is we go to war and Joe Biden steps down, Kamala steps up. And though it's never happened in history, the election is delayed because we're at war with Russia and Iran. That could happen. I suppose other really serious things could happen that I just would rather not express. All right, I didn't realize that article on Gaza Strip was going to go that way. I was just looking for information on who was going to get the contracts to reconstruct Gaza. My guess is it's going to be BlackRock, State Street, and Vanguard. And our media controls the information we get. And I think some of these newspapers are controlled by people who might be neocons. I don't know if they're neocons, but they might be. They might put the opportunity for massive financial gain ahead of any qualms they have for war. So anyway, please pray for peace in the world, and I'll try to do something on CAUD. And yes, you can submit questions. I'll make sure of it. So we'll catch you later. Thank you.